In ancient Greece, around 428 BCE, a young and intellectually curious man named Plato was born from a lineage of wealth and political influence. Born into a family that valued both education and societal engagement, Plato's profound ideas would shape Western philosophy forever. He was a devoted student of Socrates, and he recognized the power of storytelling to captivate his listeners. He chose the medium of dialogue to convey his ideas, with the belief that people were more likely to follow and embrace philosophical concepts if they were embedded within a story. His dialogues were written in the form of conversations between characters, using the Socratic method of relentless questioning to explore the complexities of existence. Among his works, the Critias trilogy stands out, an unfinished trio of dialogues named Timaeus, Critias, and Hermocrates, where Plato told the story of the lost city of Atlantis. It was told through the voice of Critias, who begins the dialogue by recounting the narrative about Atlantis, a story he learned from his grandfather, who in turn heard it from Solon, an Athenian statesman who journeyed to Egypt in pursuit of knowledge. He describes Atlantis as a powerful and advanced civilization living on a utopian island beyond the Pillars of Hercules. He goes on to detail the masterful architecture, advanced metallurgy, and rich culture. Society flourished in the arts, philosophy, and sciences, with a prosperous trading network and disciplined military. They were known for their wealth, with an abundance of rare and precious metals. However, the rulers of Atlantis succumbed to ambition and greed, and their once virtuous society became corrupt, leading to cruelty, oppression, and an insatiable desire for power and riches. The gods, displeased with the moral decay, decided to punish them by sending earthquakes and floods, which sank the entire island into the ocean, wiping them off the map and marking the end of their powerful dynasty. The dialogue known as Critias, written by Plato, was never completed, and it ends abruptly mid-sentence. Plato had included real historical and geographical details in his story. There are many events in history that could have influenced his writing. Some researchers believe they have found Atlantis in an unexpected location, the Sahara Desert. In particular, the Richat Structure in Mauritania, commonly referred to as the Eye of the Sahara. Plato described Atlantis as being the capital city of an empire made up of 10 kingdoms. The capital city was said to be a complex layout made of concentric circles, 3 of water and 2 of land, with an opening to the sea in the south. The Richat structure matches this description of a large circular feature with a diameter of 48 kilometers or 30 miles with ring-like patterns. Satellite images suggest the presence of ancient water channels and riverbeds around the structure, leading southward. Plato mentioned irrigated fields and a sophisticated agricultural system, with impressive mountains to the north, which he called the Atlas Mountain Chain. The Atlas Mountains are indeed located in the north of the Sahara Desert, and they were named after Atlas, the first known monarch of Mauritania, and according to Plato, the first king of Atlantis. Plato also mentioned an abundance of elephants and gold in Atlantis, and Mauritania is known to be rich in gold and ivory. The Tamanrasset River, which flows from the Atlas Mountains through the Richat structure and to the Atlantic Ocean, is a parallel to Plato's description of a river in Atlantis. Plato said that a catastrophic event involving water led to the destruction of Atlantis, and the Sahara Desert shows signs of water erosion, supporting the idea that a significant water-related event reshaped the region thousands of years ago. A massive underwater landslide, called the Mauritanian Slide, is located directly in front of the Richat structure's path. The slide measured 300 kilometers or 200 miles from east to west, and 150 kilometers or 100 miles from north to south. The water striations extending to the Atlantic Ocean is proof that a powerful surge of water swept through North Africa 11,000 years ago, aligning with the time frame of Atlantis' destruction. Satellite images and radar of the Richat structures reveal water tunnels, which may indicate an infrastructure created by an advanced civilization. Plato explained the Atlanteans had a very complicated water system, which allowed them to have both hot and cold running water. The Richat structure is a hydrothermal complex, which refers to an area where hot water from the Earth's interior interacts with rocks and other materials on the Earth's surface. This interaction leads to the formation of geysers. This explains the presence of hot springs and the potential for a sophisticated water system. While the Sahara Desert is currently a dry and barren landscape, there is evidence that it was a very different environment thousands of years ago. Up until 5,000 years ago, Sahara Africa was completely green, tropical, and featuring one of the largest networks of rivers ever known to exist. Plato's story hints of a volcanic explosion causing the tsunami that destroyed Atlantis and sank the island into the sea. The Sahara Desert has evidence of past volcanic activity, such as Mount Kusi in Chad, which has lava flows that date to around 12,000 years ago. Water erosion cuts off the lava flow directly to the south, and white blemishes of salt deposits were left behind by the ocean blast. Much of the Sahara has surface-level salt, with a few large areas of salt deposits. If the ocean had never passed through the desert, all of the salt would have been burned up by the molten lava. Some researchers have noticed strange electromagnetic activity in the area. Unusual electromagnetic activity always sparks interest because anomalies in the Earth's magnetic field are associated with human-made structures. Ancient civilizations, although long gone, still leave traces that affect electromagnetic readings. The Sahara Desert is one of the least studied places on Earth because its inhospitable conditions, extreme temperatures, and huge landscape makes it difficult to travel through and conduct research. Another historical event that may have influenced Plato's writing was the catastrophic volcanic eruption on the island of Santorini around 1600 BCE in Greece. This eruption blew the island to pieces, causing tsunamis that spread as far south as Egypt and as far east as Israel. The island was engulfed by the sea, and today the cliffs of Santorini stand more than 200 feet above sea level, showing the huge size of the eruption. The volcanic ash and aerosols released during the eruption had a significant impact on global climate, so powerful that its effects were felt as far as China, where historical records describe volcanic winters that cause crop failure and unseasonably cold weather. This aligns with Plato's narrative. Santorini is also known for its unique geological features, including 3 types of stone, red, white, and black, that are found only in Santorini as a result of the island's volcanic history. These characteristics corroborate with Plato's descriptions of the stone and metal combination that made up the cityscape of Atlantis. Archaeologists have discovered a sunken ship off the coast of Sicily, which they believed had sailed across the Mediterranean Sea before being sunk by a storm 2,000 years ago. The ship contained 39 ingots of orichalcum, a metal described by Plato as prevalent and found only in Atlantis. Orichalcum is a zinc, nickel, copper, lead, and iron alloy with properties similar to brass, but with a higher density and more durability. These findings corroborate Plato's descriptions of how the metal was melted and used in the city's construction. The search for the lost city is still ongoing, despite the lack of definitive evidence. The most significant challenge is the very origin of the story of Atlantis, which can be traced back to Solon's journey to Egypt. This trip really happened and was well documented. However, there are no records or references of Atlantis in either Greek or Egyptian writings before Plato wrote his dialogues. Plato's date on the destruction of Atlantis was 9,000 years before the time of Solon, which would have been 9600 BCE or 11,600 years ago. This era was a part of the Stone Age, where humans had just recently learned how to make fire and use tools. The date he provides places Atlantis in a time frame where the development of complex social structures and advanced technology did not exist. There's a recurring motif in various cultural and religious stories from all around the world, all revolving around a concept where gods created humans, and when they turned away from spiritual values and towards materialism, the gods punished them to restore order. The story of Noah's Ark in the Bible is a well-known example. When God grew displeased with the corruption and evil of humanity, he sends a great flood to cleanse the land. Noah and his family, along with 2 of each species, survive on the ark and live on to renew the earth. The most likely theory is that the city of Atlantis never existed at all, and that Plato had written the story as a metaphor to teach people what could happen to great civilizations that become too greedy. Plato was a highly respected and influential philosopher who blurred the lines between fact and fiction. He was a master of storytelling who understood the power of myth and narrative to convey deeper truths and concepts. The fascination with Atlantis is not only because of its grand fantasy, but also because it symbolizes human nature's constant quest to explore hidden worlds.